by having sex, you waste a lot of energy. I mean, the vital energy in your body goes away. I mean, it's normal, is something we normally do, and there's no problem at all. But if you want to accumulate energy, if you want to, you know, get full energy, you cannot waste like racing horse. Until they stop racing, they are virgins. Just when they stop the racing, they start to kind of go for reproduction, or they can have sex with the mares and stuff. Other than that, so that's a little example how important it is keep the vital energy. You know, it's so much more energy if you.
I'm no social scientist, and I haven't done a survey. I mean, I don't pretend that I know what John Q. Citizen thinks about this. But I've lived in prison for a long time now. And I've met a lot of men who were motivated to commit violence just like me. And without exception, every one of them was deeply involved in pornography, without question, without exception. Deeply influenced and consumed by an addiction to pornography. There's no question about it. The FBI's own study on serial homicide shows that the most common interest among serial killers is pornography.
That's mode in which people live for pleasure and desire. And one of the things that he says is this is rooted in boredom. And that's why, to me, one of the fascinating things about people that become addicted to pornography is they get bored quickly with soft core. They move to harder core. Some of these people, according to Pamela Paul's book, some of these people end up in pedophilia who had no interest in pedophilia when they entered into pornography. So we can see the mechanism of lust. Now,
my issue was, and is, with pornography, is that it changes the way you think about people. People become objects. People become, body parts. They become things to be used rather than people to be loved. And it really, you start to change the way you see people, and you start to use people. You start to feel like, you're the man and they're just, whatever. And I had to change my thinking. I had to change what I believed. And once I knew, and once I was aware of what it was doing to me, it changed me. And I knew, I said, I gotta stop this. And
now, Socrates mentions in Philebus, which is an often ignored dialogue about the relationship to pleasure and other virtues. But one of the things that he points out in there, which I thought was very fascinating, is he talks about desire, and he uses the analogy of having thirsting for something to drink. And he asks Protarchus, is it a desire for the drink? And he says, yes, obvious Socratic foil. And Socrates says, is it for the drink or for the replenishment with drink? In other words, is the drink a means to an end, which is the replenishment, the sense of emptiness that comes from being thirsty. And Protarchus agrees. And Socrates says, therefore, when somebody becomes empty, he apparently desires the opposite of what he is experiencing, in other words, to fill himself. So desire is essentially an attempt to fill a void. And this is why when we look at pornography, we have to look at it in light of an emptiness. What is the emptiness in people that this is an attempt to fill that void in their life?
Rusty, you're a wanker. Well, up until quite recently you'd have been right there, but I've knocked it on the head. I don't look at porn or do any of that because I don't think it's good for you. I think it perpetuates a cycle of misery. As you can see from my laptop, spanking clean.
It's almost like I gotta sometimes check myself, because sometimes there's an anger that rises up in me, and I get evangelically ticked off about the fact that I wish somebody would have taught me a long time ago the repercussions of sex and flesh and lust and vanity and pride and ego and all these other things. I wish somebody would have been holding my little behind accountable years ago.
$50 posted a 4-step plan to stop masturbation. 1, avoid the urge to masturbate. Stop going to porn websites. You've stopped that.
Yeah, you have to stop.
Make a conscious decision not to turn your head after people walk by you. So if a woman walks by you, you don't look.
Right.
Is that true?
Yeah.
3, do not go to strip clubs. When's the last time you were in a strip club?
I haven't been.
Wow. And 4, do not look at lust-filled magazines. Do you,
So are you not masturbating at all?
No.
When's the last time you masturbated?
When you have that, it's been a long time since that time.
Years?
It's been a while, yeah. I'm grown. How would I have...
history of the English language has summed up this thing better than Shakespeare in the 129th sonnet, when he said, the expensive spirit in a waste of shame is lust in action, till action lust. And I think this is the hot state that was mentioned yesterday, where people will literally change their moral views about things in this state. And that's why I don't think that it's hyperbole to say is perjured, murderous, bloody, full of blame, savage, extreme, rude, cruel, not to trust, enjoyed no sooner but despised straight, past reason hunted and no sooner had past reason hated as a swallowed bait, on purpose laid to make the taker mad. He doesn't tell us who lays the trap. Mad in pursuit and in possession so, had having and in quest to have extreme, a bliss in proof and proved a very woe, before a joy proposed, behind a dream, and there he means nightmare. All this the world well knows, yet none knows well to shun the heaven that leads men to this hell. And I think if people that are in pornographic addiction or seeking help, they would be the best commentators on what he's talking about, because this really creates a hellish state of the soul. And I don't think we've looked enough at the pain of these people that are dealing with these issues. It's very important.